All right, guys, for today's lesson, we're going to continue working with the different types of lines that we learned about yesterday. So you should have your math notebook page either in your math notebook or pulled up on your screen to help you throughout today's lesson. So first, I'm going to do some examples with you. So you don't need your book just yet, but you will need your math book later in this lesson. So today we are going to apply what we learned yesterday about the three different types of lines: parallel, intersecting, and perpendicular. And we are going to apply that to this diagram here. Okay, so for instance, if I'm looking at this diagram and I ask myself, are there any parallel lines in this diagram? I can find different lines that are parallel with each other here. So I have line AB here and line GH here. These lines are parallel to each other. They're both going straight up and down, and if they continued on and on forever, they would never intersect with each other. They would never cross paths. Do you see any other parallel lines in this diagram? Well, I see line DC right here, and I see line FE right here. And both of those lines are going exactly in the same direction. And if I extended those lines and they went on and on forever, they would never cross or never cross paths. And then I see line JK right here and line LM. So those are also parallel lines within this diagram. Okay? Now, what if I ask myself, are there any intersecting lines in this diagram? Well, intersecting means that they cross at one point. So I have line DC here, and it crosses line JK at this point right here. Do you see any other intersecting lines in this diagram? Well, I see FE, and FE intersects with line LM right here. But line LE also intersects JK right there. So I have already found 3 sets of intersecting lines. Do you guys see any more? There's another one right here. But AB that intersects JK is a very specific type of intersecting line intersecting lines because they create a 90-degree angle. So those are perpendicular lines within this diagram. Can I just clear the whole page? I don't think I can. Okay. So let's talk about intersecting lines. Or not intersecting lines. Perpendicular lines. So perpendicular lines create a 90-degree angle. Right angle right here. So we talked about line AB and line JK are perpendicular lines. Do we see any other lines that are perpendicular? Well, I see line GH right here also intersects line JK, and it creates a 90-degree angle. And then line GH also crosses line LM and creates a 90-degree angle there. So within a diagram, we can pinpoint different types of intersecting lines or different types of lines. They might be parallel, intersecting, or perpendicular. We've done this before. We did this a couple weeks ago when we were learning about lines and rays and line segments, right? You worked with diagrams that looked very similar to this. So you may have been asked to find a line within this diagram. So here's a line here. Line DC. You may have been asked to find a point. So here's point F. Or a line segment. Here's line segment G, H. We're doing the exact same thing. We're just looking for those new terms that we're learning. Parallel lines, perpendicular lines, and intersecting lines. So what I'd like for you to do is go into your math book and turn to page 825 in your math book. So page 825 looks like this. And we're going to be looking at the bottom of the page at numbers 4 through 7. So page 825, you'll see the diagram there. And we're going to be looking at numbers 4 through 7. So get your pencil ready. You should have your math notebook page available to you to help. Okay, so we're using the figure at the right to answer questions 4 through 7. So number 4 is just going to be a review of what we've already learned because it's just asking us to find lines. Not a specific type of line, just lines. Okay, so here's a line here. And remember our label. We put 2 points on that line. I'm going to use C and D. And then above it, we put the line with the arrows on either end. So it asked me to find 3, so that's 1. Then I have a line here. That's F, G. And now I want you to find one more. So go ahead and pause. And I want you to find one more line and write it or label it for number 4. Okay, now that you have written your third one, you could have either done line LE, which is right here, or you could have done line AF, which is here, line AF. You could have done FB, which is the same line, just 2 different points, or you could have done line AB, same line, 2 different points. Okay, so you have lots of options for that third line. So that's a review. Let's look at number 5. Name a pair of parallel lines. All right, so I need to remind myself of what parallel means. So parallel means that they are never going to intersect. And I want a pair, meaning 2 of them. So I need to find 2 lines on this diagram that are never going to intersect each other. So I have a line here that if I extend it out is never going to intersect with this line here. So I need to choose 2 points on this first line. So I'm going to do C, E, so line CE, and we need to label it. Remember our label for parallel. So parallel, line CE is parallel to line FG. This is a math sentence right here. Line CE is parallel to line FG. Okay? All right. Number 6, name 2 lines that are perpendicular. All right, so remember what perpendicular means. Perpendicular means that they form a right angle. So I see right angles here and here, but I only need 2 lines. I only need a pair. So I'm going to choose this here. So I have line FG, line FG, and remember our label for perpendicular is the upside down capital T. So I did line FG, and it's perpendicular to line FB. Okay, and it's okay to use this point. If that's labeled in the diagram and it's F, we can use F in both of them. That's fine, as long as they are perpendicular lines. All right. Okay, and lastly, we have Number 7 names 2 intersecting lines. Okay, so intersecting. Now, there's one that's very obvious, right? We have, let's not use green, it blends in, yellow. We have line LE and CD that we can see already cross each other right there. So those would be intersecting lines. But there are another pair of intersecting lines on here as well. They just have not crossed paths yet. Okay, so I have line LE, and if I extend this line out further, and then I have line FG, and if I extend this line out further, eventually they are going to cross right there. They have not crossed yet on this diagram, but that does not mean that they are not intersecting lines. They are still intersecting lines because lines go on and on forever, even if it doesn't show that in the diagram. So I'm going to use line LE. And remember, our label for intersecting is an X. Line LE intersects line FG. Okay? All right, so today you have a practice buddy. You're going to have diagrams like this to label or to find different geometric terms. And it's also going to be a review of yesterday's assignment where you're just labeling the different types of lines that are presented to you.